Welcome to Your Good News. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. This is a show dedicated to nothing but things that will make you smile or at least help you find hope and faith in humanity. The world is a rough place and sometimes we just need to hear some of the good things going on. Let's start off with a story that is bursting with gratitude. Nils Gulbrandsen had the chance to meet the two people who saved his life recently during a soccer match. Here's Will Hall with the story of timing, luck, and sportsmanship.
Nils!
Derek.
You're okay.
If you look close enough,
I'm more than okay.
You'll find miracles.
Hey, Scott.
Hi, buddy.
Good to see you, man.
You too.
Thank you.
Everywhere you look.
Hi,
Sierra,
Scott.
his wife.
This is my wife.
And for Nils Gulbrandsen,
Thank you.
March 19th
The last thing I remember
is a day full of them.
was the second half started.
The 25-year-old was playing in his weekly men's league soccer game that night
And by that point, you were laying on your back, weren't recovering, started to turn a little purple.
when all of a sudden he went into cardiac arrest.
Couldn't feel a pulse, so we started CPR for probably 6 minutes.
That's when opponents Derek Eklund and Scott Hunter
Derek was more on point, I would say.
Okay.
quickly became Nils' biggest teammates.
I didn't
Those teammates,
see myself on the floor.
miraculously, both work in the medical field.
And then luckily someone brought in an AED.
The M Health Fairview Sports Center also miraculously contained AEDs.
You stopped breathing again, lost your pulse, and we did have to use the defibrillator. A couple more minutes of CPR, and again, you started breathing again, getting more color back.
By the grace of God, you guys were there and you came over and you saved my life.
Nils was diagnosed with arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy.
And you got a little bit of a life-saving device in there in case.
Yes,
and
right. I have an SICD with a little wire that's not this wire, of course, going up my sternum,
A rare genetic condition
monitoring me 24/7.
that affects the heart's right ventricle.
If anything if there's irregular beats, if there's whatever, it'll just shock me back. Is the rest of my life gonna have to change probably a little bit? But I mean, I'm grateful because I'm alive,
And that's
right?
a miracle.
I'm here. Can I give you both a hug again, though?
Absolutely,
Absolutely,
man.
of course,
Bring it
man.
on,
Thank you.
You think, what if they weren't there? But they were there. And so I am eternally, forever, just beyond grateful.
this is something, all of us are going to share forever,
In Woodbury.
And I'm not going to forget this.
Will Hall, KARE 11 Sports.
It was a team effort that, hey, we get the outcome that we needed, and thank God you're here.
Yeah.
Nils, Scott, and Derek are all quick to point out and spread the message to go get CPR certified. And if your facility or office building does not already, push to have AEDs on site. You never know when they'll be needed. Speaking of saving lives, this time of the feline variety, the Animal Humane Society here in the Twin Cities is now caring for dozens of cats that were rescued from a home up north that was on standby to evacuate because of that Jenkins Creek fire. Ian Russell has more on how those cats are doing.
Gray skies
We're really happy we were able to help.
can't stop relief from shining through.
So the cats are doing overall very well.
Like many, Liv Hagen at the Animal Humane Society has been keeping an eye on what's happening up north, now caught up in the relief herself.
This is the first incident that we have needed to respond to related to the northern Minnesota fires.
As those fires popped up, so too did worry and concern. Many were forced to evacuate, taking only what they could as the fires burned on. That includes pets, more difficult for some.
60 plus cats, that's a lot of animals to try to make accommodations for.
The Animal Humane Society took in 61 cats from a home near the Jenkins Creek fire.
Oh, you're so sweet.
The owners simply unable to move all of the animals themselves. Hagen says this is not a situation of cruelty.
The owners were doing a great job. They were doing what they could, but ultimately, over 60 cats, that's really tough.
Hagen says the owners reached out to the Animal Humane Society, which then sent crews last week to help bring the cats down to Golden Valley.
This was not a situation that we would consider neglect. Really recognize the situation could really quickly become an emergency.
A bright spot in the wake of disaster.
No adventures today. Hi.
As relief calls out.
So even though we're 3.5 hours away, there's still animals in need. We will respond to that.
The owners of those cats gave them all to the Animal Humane Society. Hagen says the ultimate goal, of course, is adoption for all of them. They are still being worked on, getting some treatment for minor illnesses, but overall, they are in good shape. Well, now here's a story about people stepping in to help on a different level. Normally, high school band directors are used to being in control. But this school year, a band director in New Hope was left to deal with something completely beyond his control. And in this case, it was his band that stepped up to help lead him through the struggle.
And go now. Like songs, school years have beginnings. But no one can predict in the fall the stanzas that will follow.
A beloved band director and his wife were killed in a car crash on Friday.
Richard Hahn directed the Forest Lake High School Band for 29 years, during which he inspired
1 and 2.
his son.
Ready and go. And one of my earliest memories of my father is being on his shoulders while he walked through his marching band.
Marcus Hahn and the Cooper High School Band had the day off school last fall as his parents drove to a funeral, entered this intersection, and were hit by a dump truck.
They were his best friends.
Jennifer Hahn is Marcus's wife.
Well, my dad never missed a concert.
During college in Minnesota and Nevada,
They always showed up.
Marcus's mom, Jeanette, had been a middle school choir director.
When I had my first job at Triton High School in southern Minnesota, my parents drove the hour and a half and the hour and a half back for every concert.
He called his dad every day on the way home from work to talk about what they were playing, ways to inspire the kids.
It was a couple weeks into our season.
Bandy's Gabe Cummings, DJ Cannon,
Instant tears, honestly.
and Kendall Karskadden,
Yeah.
knew son and father were close.
He would talk about him in band a lot.
Every day.
The best relationship, father and son relationship I've ever seen. Just father and mother, just by far.
So they got busy.
We wore gold ribbons in honor of his parents because they love the U. The football players even, they were wearing gold stickers on their helmets.
They showed up to the wake. I remember looking over there and seeing just a line of my students starting to walk through the door.
There were some tears that were shed from everyone.
A lot of tears by everybody.
He was shocked.
But Jennifer's husband was also reminded. Band is family.
Forest Lake High School going through the Tournament of Roses in '87.
Dad
He's right down here.
and son.
I traveled with them to the 92 tournament. I was 6 years old. He made a bed for me in the aisle of the bus. He's my grandfather.
Marcus's grandpa,
This is a plaque
a band director too.
off of his office. I'm the third Mr. Hahn.
And now a fourth generation. 3-year-old Shelby is also showing interest. She learned this from her grandma, Jeanette.
She was so close to them.
I would love for her to develop the same musical appreciation that my parents instilled in me.
Appreciation for music
This is our spring concert.
and family,
Seniors, all of you should have a boutonniere.
and somehow, even this school year.
I told Dad in September that I just got a great group of 3 bands. And I really mean it.
And now, their final full band appearance, with Shelby keeping beat where her grandparents should have also been sitting.
I definitely believe they're smiling down.
Smiling down and appreciating the finale. The same Battle Hymn of the Republic that ended every school concert directed by Marcus's dad, conducted with his dad's baton. Like songs, school years also have endings. Unless
You've done good.
they touch our hearts.
Stella, you've done such a good job this year.
When that happens, songs and school years stay with us
I was so nervous.
I know!
for life.
Part of it, that's part of it. You did so well.
Thank you.
Boyd Hooper, Carol 11 News,
Oh, nice job.
New Hope.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed things.
Marcus and his sister Lori have established a scholarship fund to honor their parents. Richard and Jeanette Hahn Scholarship will help students pursuing music degrees at the University of Minnesota. You can find a link to their fundraiser at KARE11.com. Coming up, a graduation of generational proportions, and we'll take you to an agate adventure. But first, here's some of your good news that you shared with us this week. Susan Cates says it was a magical Mother's Day stroll on Pennock Avenue in Apple Valley, Minnesota. It took my breath away. It's like you were royalty and someone was throwing flowers at you to lead your way. So very pretty. Thanks for sharing that with us.
I thought it was hail at first.
No,
like,
no,
wow.
it's just beautiful flowers off the trees, right? John Woodrow says longtime Aiken Gobbler fan Scotty Johnson was honored last weekend at the Scotty Johnson Classic, a youth baseball tournament. Scotty posed after throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. That's awesome.
Gobblers, very cool.
Yeah, Bev Cashman says, this is a picture of my daughter, Brianna. Her essay was one of 13 that were read for the Listen to Your Mother event. Contestants submit essays on all the facets of motherhood. The submissions were wonderful, and I was so proud of my daughter. I bet you were. That's amazing. Welcome back. Graduation season can feel like a sprint for anyone who has a friend or loved one taking part. But a ceremony at the U last week felt like a different kind of race for one family. Kent Erdahl has the story of a grad school journey 2 generations in the making.
The road to a part-time graduate degree can feel like a marathon.
Some classes in person and then some online.
When you work full-time.
Flying in and then getting an Uber to campus, getting picked up at like 9:30 at night.
Samantha Supir, like many members of this year's class graduating with MBAs from the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management, couldn't have done it without support.
I'm Sam's fiance.
From her entire family.
Soon-to-be brother-in-law.
Yes, her sisters and dad were also there to cheer her on.
It's been pretty cool.
Okay, fix my tassel.
And it's been even cooler.
There, perfect.
To have her mother embrace the same journey.
So proud of you.
Alongside her.
We did it, we did it.
This mother-daughter journey toward an MBA began with a very mother-daughter conversation.
All right, here we go.
A few years back.
I have butterflies in my tummy.
I had said to her, I said, I really think you should consider getting your MBA. And then she said, well, why have you never gotten yours?
It's almost like hard to believe, you know.
A similar conversation turned challenge had previously inspired the duo to tackle a different kind of marathon.
We actually got to run the Boston Marathon together. We didn't finish at the same time, but we at least ran and we did get to celebrate after.
In the race for their MBA, the pair didn't start at the same time. With a 30-year gap since her undergrad, Shelley faced a prerequisite hurdle.
Getting my own email when I got accepted was like, I think I cried.
We celebrated.
Yeah.
Seize the day.
And despite starting a semester late, this time, Mom closed the gap.
We will begin the presentation of degrees.
We had group projects and then it came more of a competition. We wanted to beat each other in all of our homework and get the better grade over each other, me and you.
Listen to them together talking about their homework. Samantha would bring the newer learning that would be here, and Shelley would bring some of her experiences in work, and then they could apply it together. I don't know, it's just neat.
1, 2, 3, up.
And 3 years later, that teamwork propelled them to the finish of their second marathon.
Samantha Supir.
This time, crossing the threshold
Thank you.
together.
Shelley, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm just so proud. I mean, I can't say enough. It's emotional because you see them hit a milestone.
And though they've both now passed that milestone,
Hold it up.
the journey has already made them stronger.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So I tell my friends that I was going to do this. They're like, why would you do that now?
There you guys go. Congratulations!
There's never a time limit for achieving something.
You never stop evolving and growing, and I got to watch my mom do that.
Masters on 3, right?
And it's an example not only for me, but for my sisters as well.
Hey, what is it? 1, 2, 3.
Masters!
In Minneapolis, Kent Erdahl,
Oh my God.
KARE 11 News.
In addition to their family, Samantha and Shelley say they could not have graduated without supportive employers and the flexible online program offered by the U. Because even though Samantha is located here in Minnesota, her mom completed her coursework from her home in Nebraska. Congratulations to both of you. Well, now it's time for an adventure. Recently, Belinda and Julie hung out with a rock star, not the kind that plays music and breaks guitars. This guy just really loves rocks, agates to be exact. On social media, he's known as the Agate Dad, and his videos get hundreds of thousands of views. Well, they went up to the North Shore to meet him and learn more about a Minnesota treasure that everyone can hunt.
Only a rock star would get Belinda and me out on the North Shore on a cold, stormy day in April.
Such a lovely day.
Yeah. And Taylor, otherwise known as the Agate Dad, is definitely a star in the world of rocks.
How many followers do you have?
Grand total with all of them together, it's
close to 2 million.
Fans flock to Taylor's social media pages to watch him find,
That's awesome.
cut, and polish agates, including Minnesota's official gemstone.
Oh my gosh!
The Lake Superior agate.
It's perfect!
Agates from Lake Superior range in color, but on the outside, its potato-like husk is often yellow or orange. And on the inside, it's known for its beautiful red and orange banding, derived from iron ore deposits in the soil.
We came down the little pathway, and I said, oh my God, that's Taylor.
Even on this, shall we say, less than ideal day, we ran into Taylor's superfans.
I know an insane amount about him because we watch his agate videos every single week.
Inspired by Taylor, Annie Myers and her partner drove all the way from South Dakota to give agate hunting a try.
He's got all kinds of tips and tools and tricks.
One of the first tips, try to hunt after a storm.
Oh my God.
Missed it by this much, because the waves will wash up new crops of rocks.
So what's the ideal weather to agate hunt?
Not today. Sunny is good, because then it kind of helps with the glowing aspect of it.
Most agates are fluorescent, and sunshine lights them up, making them easier to spot on the beach. Which would have been helpful today, as spotting agates isn't easy.
Nothing? Look how cool these are, though.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing, though? Okay, I really want to find one.
Agate hunting takes patience, practice, and acceptance that the first one you find will likely be small. But hey, so was Taylor's.
I looked down and it was just the size of a blueberry, but it had bands over it, and I'm like, this is it, and boom, I was hooked. And that's what started everything.
And now he has a garage full of agates. Many he found, others he bought.
This bin right here is full of calandria agates from Mexico.
The videos where Taylor cuts these agates open get the most views online, and Belle and I couldn't resist giving it a try.
And it's got a really nice banded window right here. And you could cut it right in through there. I think you have a pretty good shot at getting some nice bands.
All right, let's do it.
Belle picked an agate from Botswana.
Okay, check it out.
Mine was from Malawi.
Ready?
Oh, geode.
Wow.
That's the geode agate you were asking for.
Did you see that, Belle? That's so cool. Uh-oh,
That's
this
awesome.
is addicting.
Yeah.
So many people have become agate addicts that there's an entire festival dedicated to them in the self-proclaimed agate capital of the world, Moose Lake. And while Moose Lake is obviously not on Lake Superior agates can be found here, dropped during the Ice Age by glaciers that deposited them throughout much of the upper Midwest.
These are all Lake Superior agates.
20 years ago, Boyd Hoopert paid a visit to Moose Lake's Agate Days.
I started picking agates when I was 5 years old.
And met organizer Roger Biebel as he shopped.
This is $2,100.
And then helped mix agates and quarters in with a dump truck full of gravel for the signature event.
Hold your positions, please.
The Agate Stampede. Back then, the festival attracted about 1,000 people.
We're actually on our 56th year.
And while Roger hasn't changed much since then, the festival has grown so big, it crashes cell phone service.
I actually called up AT&T. I go, what's going on? How come you can't keep that? And they said, we have 20,000 people in the Moose Lake area that are not normally there, and our system could not handle it.
So whether it's the controlled chaos of Agate Days or the solitude of the North Shore, there's Minnesota treasures out there this summer just waiting to be found.
This is a one-of-a-kind thing. To have Lake Superior and the gifts that it brings, it's just really special.
If you'd like to check out Agate Days, they will be held in Moose Lake on July 19th and 20th this year. Still to come, the Minnesota tie to Tom Cruise's new blockbuster movie. But first, here's more of your good news that you shared with us this week. This one is a bit bittersweet. Cheryl Tuttle sent us this story that brought tears to my eyes. She says, Mother's Day weekend, my daughters and I spent Thursday through Sunday celebrating what would have been my 50th anniversary. My husband, John, died from COVID in December of 2021. Here's what we did to remember him, our marriage, and family. My daughters, Meg and Emily, flew to Des Moines, where my other daughter, Lindsay, and I picked them up, and we visited my 92-year-old parents, Ron and Dorothy Grandia, in Newton, Iowa. We went to Tuttle Cabin in Pella, Iowa, Then to Stillwater, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and home again. A huge thank you to my 3 amazing sons-in-law who cared for all the grandkids, 10 total. Wow. We even had matching jammies for our girls' trip. Cheryl, I am so sorry for your loss, but you have an amazing, beautiful family that you have built, and that is some really good news. This one was so unique that I decided to just feature it by itself today. The new Mission Impossible movie has a pretty rad Minnesota connection. No, we're not trying to claim Tom Cruise, but if you go back to the beginning of this trailer, the red airplane that he's hanging from, yep, it once lived here. In fact, if you're a longtime viewer of KARE 11, you might recognize it. Here's Kent.
For 40 years, this red Stearman biplane was the pride and joy of one Minnesota aviator.
It was just really fun to fly.
Ray Johnson still has the logbook to prove it.
I probably gave somewhere close to 1,000 rides in it.
This is, World War II stuff.
He gave KARE 11 a spin around his beloved plane in 2016.
Okay, this feels like home now.
But he made the difficult decision to sell the plane in 2020 when it became too difficult to get in and out of it.
Because I had both my knees replaced. It was time, put it that way.
And it turned out to be the perfect time for its next mission.
I didn't know it was going to Paramount Pictures until they actually did the paperwork on it.
4 years after learning his plane would be featured in Mission Impossible Final Reckoning,
do we want to hang one right here? We decided we need to have a party.
His family can finally share the secret.
We can put those anywhere in the ceiling.
Sherry Christensen spent the day decorating for a special advanced screening tonight at St. Michael's Cinema.
Do you know how long we should make this strings? It was literally in our house growing up. Your friends would be like, what the heck is that? And I'd be like, oh, that's my dad's airplane. And they'd be like, what? You've got an airplane in your basement garage?
And 25 years after that work was finished,
oh, I love it.
She's excited.
It's coming together.
To see the plane pushed to a new extreme.
We've done stunts with my dad. We've done the loops, but we've never been outside the aircraft, hanging from the wing, going through cliffs.
And if this footage shared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is any indication, there's much more fun in store.
Yeah. That's the test? I can't even imagine what that would be like.
What he does, in the movies is kind of one of a kind. I kiddingly tell people, they asked me to do the flying, but I said they didn't want to pay me enough, so I don't do it then, so yeah.
Maybe not.
It's a Cessna Cardinal.
But at 92 years old, Ray is still flying. And with yearly approval from doctors, he'll keep flying for as long as he can.
In my case, a medical every 2 years. Every time you go flying, you kind of give yourself a medical, if you know what I mean. You got to decide whether you're capable of flying or not.
But so far, so good.
So far, so good, right. Yep. Come out here someday next week, I'll give you a ride.
The same offer has already been extended.
I love your vision.
To a certain movie star.
Thinking maybe he'll show up yet tonight, who knows?
If he doesn't show up, his stand-in is here. Get a photo taken with Tom and, of course, my dad.
You gonna fly this to the premiere tonight?
Well, if they had an airport down there, I probably would, so yeah.
Before the special premiere in St. Michael, there was a special tribute to Ray. No word on whether Tom Cruise dropped in. Ray was inducted into the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame in 2022. Let's take a final listen to some of the good news that you shared with us this week. Chris Mosley says my Corgi Perfect Pitch is a registered therapy dog and enjoys story time at Prior Lake Library. She also visits college students and seniors. Here are some pictures of her from the St. Thomas Finals Week de-stress session and one from Savage Library. We don't often get read to by a princess.
That is a good dog.
Right? Look at that. All right. Mary Cosberg from Mankato says our daily Foxy comes at Fox o'clock every morning, likes to sit in his Barca lounger and scope out the squirrels. He's a cute little bugger, isn't he?
Is that still snow on the ground?
Maybe.
Goodness.
I don't know. Liz Pearson says my good news is being able to take my uncle Jim to Norway for the first time to meet our cousins and to celebrate 17. Mai in Trondheim. That looks like a lot of fun. good family trip there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Samantha Swenson says this is our rescue dog, Buster.
Hi, Buster.
Buster says he's excited to be on the news. He's from the Bond Between. We adopted him in December of 2020. He loves naps, sunshine, snacks, his family, and his best friends, Nova and Cynthia.
You like your dog.
Nice to meet you, Buster. Proud grandma Suzanne Fussy says my handsome oldest grandson, Carter, was all dressed up to attend his first prom on May 16th. Handsome indeed. And I checked with grandma to make sure that he was okay with the picture being shown. I've had lots of grandmas say, please no. So she says, I checked and it was okay.
All right,
so,
good deal.
Good job, grandma. Patricia Orndorff says our granddaughter Allison from Stillwater recently graduated from North Florida University. Her Ospreys softball team made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time in college history.
All right.
Get this, Allison is the first player in the history of the Atlantic Sun Conference to be named player, pitcher, and scholar athlete of the year in the same season.
Wow.
Right? Overachiever. Wow, that is some really great news. Thanks for joining us for Your Good News. If you'd like to share your good news with us, we do it every day at the end of our 4 p.m. newscast. Just send us an email to yourgoodnews@KARE11.com and be sure to add pictures or video that you'd like us to share. Do you have a new baby? Maybe your granddaughter got married. Maybe you beat cancer or simply enjoyed good time with good friends. We want to hear about it. And until we see you again, have an excellent week, friends.